I figured I'd end that early. I know a lot of you like Metallica. So do I. I was just getting a little antsy. And I don't know. I figured I'd start the show. Hell yeah, Angela D. I should have let it play then if at least I had one person there who liked it. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the second part of this show that we're going to put on. This is this is part of the little series of shows we're going to be doing. Just to show a little bit about some of the interests in the direction of the channel and, talk about some, interesting topics. One of these topics that we started last week for anyone who had missed it was we played the first part series of this documentary called The Boneyard, where this dude in Alaska has 10 acres of land and they found a whole bunch of prehistoric bones in the permafrost in one section of the riverbed. And it's very interesting. But we'll get into that in a minute. In the meantime, I will say hello to the few people I have in here so far. We got 49 people, I think. That's not bad. I'll take that. Kamara, what's up? Pool Stick, what up? Soto, ¿qué pasa? BTF Phoenix or FTB Phoenix. I'm dyslexic when I call your name. Angela D, welcome. Jesse Baby Roth, what's up? Mr. Matt, the managing mod of the show. What's up? Chris Capello. Paisano, what's up? Who else we got here? I think that's Sven Lawson and Sally. See you then. Sally probably fell asleep. That's my guess. What's up there, CM? What's up, Maverick? Welcome. I don't know, Maverick, if you were here last week, but we played part one of this documentary. And we're going to play the rest of it because it's like an hour and 15, 20 minutes long. So it's pretty long. So I broke it down into two parts, and this will be the second part of it. Miss Can't Be Wrong. What's up? Yeah, I saw you ladies were live, and I was kind of sitting in the background for like the last 2 minutes, just seeing when you guys were going to be done so I could come on. BTF. Remember what I said last time about the end? I should have been more specific. It was mass extinction. Yes, a sphinxion event. Yes. A la Tony Pizza extinction event, Mr. Sean Penn probably was part of that sphinxion. Yes. Mike Slick, you didn't come in and say, hey now. Anyway, before we get into the second part of this documentary, I'm going to give you a little taste of what I think the next show might be about. And I hope I don't get struck for it. But I'm going to fucking play it anyway. I don't care. We'll see what happens, Yes, I heard he has a certain propensity. Yes, he definitely has a propensity for getting certain things stuck in his booty hole. It was a mass sphincter event. We can't go one day without talking about Tony Pizza, you know what I mean? He has it out for fucking CM lately. You got to see his community post. He's fucking massively triggered. It was great to see. Really pleasurable to see that motherfucker triggered. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, How's everybody doing tonight? Good? Anyway, BTF. So when he talks about ass pen, he's not talking about. Oh boy. All right. So check this out. I'm a big I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I like his videos. I like his clips. I watch a lot of the interviews he does, and they're pretty fucking good. And he's got this one guy on there. His name's Paul Rosalie. And for all of you who don't know who Mr. Paul Rosalie is, he's a very interesting figure. And I'll kind of read a little bit about what this dude is. So he's a conservationist, writer, speaker, filmmaker, and he's involved in protecting acres of the Amazonian habitat and rainforest. And he's part of this group that does a lot of conservation work in the Amazon, right? And this motherfucker's badass. I mean, fucking badass. And he talks about a little bit about uncontacted tribes in the Amazon. This can't be wrong. My favorite Metallica album is Master of Puppets. Hell yeah. Well, I like them all too. Me too. I think what was my first Metallica fucking concert? I know I was in the where was I? Holy shit. Meadowlands. I think it was 87. And it was fucking crazy. That was a crazy concert. Anyway, getting back to this dude, Paul Rosalie, right? So I caught him on Joe Rogan, and he's a conservationist. He goes into the wild. They try to capture certain animals that are in the Amazonian rainforest, and he's involved with pretty much identifying new species weekly in the Amazon rainforest. We have no idea what's out there. Imagine that. To this day and age, in 2025, we still are identifying new species all the time, especially in a vast area such as the Amazonian rainforest, right? And this guy's at the forefront. And let's just say this motherfucker like goes around in a boat jumping on fucking 18-foot pythons and is involved in measuring them and tagging them and doing all kinds of work on as far as the species itself and conservation for them, because there's not much known about them in the wild. So but he talks about a lot of the experiences he has in the rainforest, and I think the next documentary is probably going to be about this guy. Anyway, we're talking about Metallica. Let's talk about Metallica a little bit. So Miss Can't Be Wrong said, and then we saw Metallica in 1996, right after they cut their hair. Oh my God, that was a travesty, wasn't it? I forgot what album it was. Their first album where they had short haircuts. Holy shit. All the hardcore Metallica fans were like, you guys are fucking sellouts. My God, what did you do? They look like a bunch of fucking, I don't know. They look like the Rolling Stones. You did see him? Yeah. This guy's fucking badass, man. But he talks about the uncontacted tribes of the rainforest. And these fucking people, they don't want to be contacted, but people just don't understand that. So he tells a story, right, about what happened. So let me play this to you. You guys got to fucking see this. This is crazy. And then we'll get into the second part of the of that documentary. All right, let me share my screen here. Hold on. Present. Present. Why aren't you sharing? Here we go.
Most of the people that I meet don't actually really understand how isolated these people are, or how weird it is that we're sitting here and that we have iPhones and airplanes and all this stuff, and these people are living naked in the forest at this moment. And so the thing, though, you know, I also was recently, somebody said, oh, there's like Paleolithic tribes, and it's like, no, just by default, they're modern tribes living now. They just happen to be living out in the jungle. And there's a huge debate about, you know, do we try and contact them and bring them in? And there's two camps of people on this who they say that it was the trauma of the rubber boom that sent them out that far into the forest and made them terrified of the outside world. And so that's also what made them so hyper violent. I mean, there's one of the guys we work with on our team, Victor, was in, I think it was 2004. He was coming downriver and he had a load of mahogany wood, and he's piloting this boat, and he sent two people, husband and wife, ahead to go start cooking breakfast on the beach so they could put the little kitchenette thing down and put the propane. He sent them ahead as he's going nice and slow with the barge coming down the river. They go ahead, reach the beach, they get out. He starts cutting some cane to start making a fire. Tribe comes out. No warning. They just start screaming. They start shooting arrows. The man instantly gets an arrow through the leg, and it pins his leg so he can't run. He tells his wife, go, save yourself. And she does. She jumps in the water. There's arrows falling around her too. And as she's floating down the river, she looks back, and the last thing she sees is these guys getting to her husband and beginning to rip him apart. As Victor comes down the river, this is a guy we work with every day.
Shit.
He comes down the river and sees his friend disemboweled, opened up, dissected. His parts are all over the beach. The beach is red. And they only found out what happened because they found her later on holding onto a stick. And
imagine how that woman felt. Imagine. She's sitting there in the fucking river being taken away in the current, and she's watching her husband being disemboweled and his fucking like guts fucking hanging out of his body, and they're cutting his fucking arms off and his head and shit, and they're just like ripping this dude apart because, you know, they don't fucking know better, these people. They think you're a threat. You know, remember the last thing that they were taught was white men are dangerous to us. You know, last time we saw white men, they were killing all of us. So it ain't bad we see anybody. It's on like Donkey Kong, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? It's like when CM will see Tony Pizza. It's on like that. You know, it's going to, you know, heads are going to be rolling. People are going to get beat up, you know. But this time, these motherfuckers are out for blood. They're killing.
In the river, and they were like, what happened? And she was like, they just attacked.
What's up, Michael?
They don't want people on their land. on the sort of the underground WhatsApp chain of the Amazon, in August, like this was not internationally known. Some loggers went up and tried to steal a few trees from where the tribes were. And then everybody sent the pictures of what the loggers looked like after a few days because the tribes porcupined them with arrows. They were laying there on the ground with just arrows sticking out of their bodies. And then eventually the authorities came out and looked, and there was just these white bodies. I'll show you the pictures later. There's just these white, puffy bodies with like the skulls sticking out. And it was like, you don't mess with these tribes.
Nope.
I wonder what's the mythology around that they construct around who these outsiders are. Are they gods? Are they demons? Are they humans? Who are they? Who are we to them?
The Amazonian rainforest.
You got to go back to the rubber.
I'm not sure what part
the rubber barons went down there, and at the start of the Industrial Revolution, the only way to get rubber was to mine it from the trees that were out in the forest. And so the only way to do that, because you can't make a rubber plantation in the jungle. The rubber, when it's in plantation form, when it's a monoculture, it gets this leaf blight and it all dies. Henry Ford tried it. It didn't work. And so what they did was they sent these people down who just whipped, burned, enslaved, raped, and pillaged the people. It's one of the worst periods in human suffering that I've ever read about.
So I think I forgot who it was. Some rubber baron back in the early 1900s. The only way to get rubber was to go, get the rubber trees in the Amazon. And what they did was they sent mercenaries and people down there to get the locals to cut all the trees down and do all the work for them. But how they got them to work was they fucking beat the shit out of their families. They took their children and held them for ransom, and they did all kinds of really sick shit to these people. And some of them, they rebelled and they went deeper into the rainforest, right? And the people that are there today, the uncontacted tribes, are the ancestors of those people who ran into the back parts of the jungle and got away. So the only thing they know now is, white people, they kill my family. They kill my ancestors. It's fucking on. So he talks about a little bit about that now.
One missionary said they were killing the locals the way you or I would kill a mosquito. They just went nuts. And so they sent them out and they would come back with rubber. And this would go to fuel the Industrial Revolution for hoses and gaskets and tires and all this stuff that suddenly we needed. And it was during that time that these gangs of foreigners would go into the jungle to enslave the natives, that these uncontacted tribes went back into the jungle and said, not us.
Not us.
And they have 6-foot bows and 7-foot arrows with bamboo tips. They make the bamboo tips into razor blades. And so when those things fly, actually one of my rangers, one of the Jungle Keepers team, was present when the tribes had come out onto the river, and he tried to help them because they're nomadic and they live out there. And so there's an element of like, brother, like, they're trying to be like, you don't need to be like this. Like, we're friendly. So they sent a canoe across the river with bananas. And so he's up to his waist in the river, and the tribes are right across the river. And they shot, and he sees the arrow coming right at his head. And as he moved to the side, it hit him at the temple and sliced him back towards the ear, opening him to the skull. He's fine. But let me tell you something, when he goes and gets a crew cut, it's the most badass scar you've ever seen, man. And so he always keeps it real short on that side.
Imagine how skilled you have to be to
even if you try to help them, that they're not necessarily friendly.
That's a tough lesson.
Yeah.
I suppose they have.
What's sick? They get those poisonous frogs and they catch them. And they take the shit off their skin, like the slime that's poisonous. And they get the arrows, the tips of the arrows, and they rub it on this frog, right? So when they shoot, their prey, when they're hunting, like say they want to catch a monkey, right? They're shooting their arrows into the trees and shit. They use this poison to fuck these animals up, man. And they actually it paralyzes them, and they just fall down out of the trees, and they're just easy to catch. And they also put it in their arrows when they're trying to kill you too, because if you get away, if they shoot a human being, you're fucking done, Crazy. Kamar, what are you saying? Mike's like, did that work? Did I miss what you said? I'm sorry. Anyway, let's play the rest of this, God.
Point.
I want to buy your house. Well, I can pay you cash for your house no matter what condition it's in. If you need to sell your house,
get out of here.
They have a point, and protecting them is a default. Of, now that we're protecting all this ecosystems and all these other indigenous communities, it's like we all sort of live with this knowledge that they're hermanos, the brothers are out there, and that's the way they want to keep it. And so we just have to be respectful of, like, you don't camp on certain beaches at certain times of the year because we know that they might be there. Kamar. You really have to be careful about that.
Have you yourself interacted with any?
Miss Can't Be Wrong, one of my favorite movies. I think that's by what's his name? Mel Gibson, right? Is that Mel Gibson movie, Miss Can't Be Wrong? I think so, right? That's a fucking great movie. Did anybody see that movie, Apocalypto? It's about the Mayans and it's it's captioned, whatever, but it's still fucking good. You guys should watch it. It's pretty good.
My interaction with them came on a solo where I pushed it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
And I was planning to do a 3-week. This was like the big one. And I got dropped off by poachers up a river.
Elizabeth Berkley's pretty fucking hot in that movie, right? Well, I remember her from Saved by the Bell. That's not the same girl from Saved by the Bell.
And I went past the point where they were like names. I said, what tributary are we on? And they were like, tributary. And I was like, okay. And I said, leave me here. And I remember the guy being like, are you committing suicide? And he didn't understand. And I was like, no, I have a backpack and I have like food and like, I'm going to like take videos and I have a tripod. And I was like, we're cool here. And they looked at me like they were like, goodbye.
See ya.
And I went up this river and again, like you learn these things, like,
Jesse
it was only when I'd been alone for a week that you realize there's that saying, they're like, oh, you're born alone and you die alone. It's like, no, you're not. You're born into a room full of people. Usually at the very least, your mother's there for everybody. And so you've been around people, probably, if you're a normal person, every single day of your life.
Yeah.
You've seen dozens, if not hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you realize what a social creature we are. Because on day 6, it gets weird. For me, it got weird. I know there's people that can do it longer.
Well, check that out. You see, that's another thing. This guy is fucking out in the jungle for months. And sometimes he does this shit alone like this. And he's talking about day 6. He's starting to be like, okay, I'm going fucking nuts. And then I start to think, well, Naked and Afraid, that friggin' series, that's on what is it? I forgot what channel it's on. But how do these motherfuckers do 21 days, 40 days? I know they're with one person, but when their partner taps out, I don't know how anybody fucking does that shit alone. I go crazy. I'd go fucking nuts. But anyway, this is just a preview, guys, of next week's show. It's going to be more about this dude, going into more depth about what he does, more stories that he tells. He's got a lot of stories. And a few of them of him catching these anacondas. And I think one was like 22 feet or some shit like that. 23 feet. I mean, something fucking sick. He also tells a story about another anaconda. They saw it, and he jumps on the thing, and because it barely got away, and he went to wrap his arms around it. He couldn't wrap his arms fully around the snake. That's how big it was. That's how thick it was. Jen said, Naked and Afraid. I haven't seen that for a hot minute. Yeah, I remember that shit. I think I still watch it here now and then. I think that's very interesting. This can't be wrong. Hell no. Anyway, so this show is definitely part 2 of the Boneyard documentary. We're going to get to that in a minute. But anybody want to donate for any of the content that I'm putting on for you guys tonight? A nice show. I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to put it in the chat. I think Kamara already donated, which I really appreciated, Kamara. That was really nice of you, honey. Thank you. And I'll pin the message up there. So if you guys want to throw few fazuls my way, I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. I agree. Everything is there in the forest. Everything. And there's a lot of locals there that still live in the forest, but they're not uncontacted. They actually have phones, and they're modernized, but they still live in the rainforest, but they travel, right? And he was talking about how he had this really bad infection on his skin. And it was just getting worse and worse. Because when you're in the rainforest, you're exposed to many different things that your body is not used to, right? Because we live in definitely a different part of the world, right? And So this motherfucker gets this rash, and the film crew gets the doctor in, and they're giving him all kinds of shit. It's not going away. In fact, it's getting worse. So one of the locals starts going into the forest. He sees a certain tree he's looking for. He sees it, grabs a couple of leaves, does his thing, and he makes this paste out of a couple of different leaves and sap or whatever, and he rubs it on the guy's arm. The next day it was fine. It's cleared. Think about that. For every thing that goes wrong, they have a cure for it. Obviously not, certain things you can't, obviously, diseases or whatnot, but our everyday issues that we have, they have all this. Everything's in the forest, everything, and they have this knowledge, and it's passed on from generation to generation. I think that is something that really interests me about these people, because I know you said that this can't be wrong. These people are, little. It's crazy how they live. It's really cool. Oh, Kamara, yeah, nice. Anyway, we're gonna play the second part of this documentary for you. You guys could chat, watch it, make comments, whatever you want to do. That's up to you. This can't be wrong. Their inventions, they put poison on the tips of the arrows. Yeah, I was saying that earlier. They get the poison from the frogs, right? And they put them on the tips of their arrows. So when they go hunting, that's how they, that's how they catch their prey, because it doesn't take long for that poison to work its way through the bloodstream and then just immobilize you. Boom, see ya, All right, let's get this documentary up, because you guys were interested in this about the, for anybody who wasn't here last week, there's a guy named John Reeves. He owns 10 acres of Alaska, and he discovered woolly mammoth bones, saber-toothed tiger bones, steppe bison. I mean, all these prehistoric animals that lived 10 to 15,000 years ago. Their bones were in the permafrost, and he's got over 250,000 bones in 5 square miles. And nobody knows why they're in this concentrated area. They're not even supposed to be there. But some sort of mass extinction event, or extinction event, as BTF Phoenix had put it, occurred at this time, and nobody knows why, and nobody wants to figure this shit out. But let me play the rest of this documentary and see if you guys get bored or not. But I'm going to play it anyway, because that's what we're here for. All right, here we go.
I'd say we have another, in that particular draw, another 10 years. And then we have
10 years
creek down.
The fuck?
Which is 3 times the length of this creek. So I suspect the rest of my born days I'll be doing this, because it's kind of like beach combing. You're looking for treasure. What'd you find?
It's a special piece. I found it in one of your green boxes there.
You found something over there? Oh, that's...
Yeah.
I remember putting bands on that one because it was a unique bone. I have no idea what it is.
It's good that you did that, because
I got the volume up.
Tibia is from a moose.
People ask me if I ever find moose, and I said, no, I've never found one. But now I guess I can.
You already found one. It's a really nice piece.
There's probably another few bones around here that goes with that moose.
Yeah, if you search the boxes, it may be... It's a live work, but maybe this is the first moose from this place that you found.
First one,
very special.
Been identified as one.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, you're probably one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever seen look at this stuff.
I learned it from my father. He had 50 years of knowledge.
Is this the guy?
I went with him.
Guy's son?
As a little boy.
I was going nuts last week.
Awesome.
It's much longer for a
yesterday we went through some of
There
the
he is.
boxes and we found remains of an Ice Age moose. And that's important because scientists have shown interest in
Yes,
the
this guy.
evolution and the distribution of moose during the Pleistocene. And these scientists asked Mr. Reeves, if you find a moose bone, let us know. And we found yesterday in his collection already 4 of them. So if we go through the entire collection of 100,000 bones, I'm convinced that we will find even more of them.
This guy's gonna get like fucking orgasm any minute. That's how excited he gets.
Moose is quite an icon for the Northern Hemisphere, especially Alaska.
Alaska.
We want to know the history of this animal. Was it already present here during the late Pleistocene or not? So these remains are very important. Today, moose is adapted to a woodland environment. If moose was present in the mammoth fauna on the cold and dry, almost treeless landscape, we have to think about why this animal was capable to adapt to this new environment when the mammoth steppe environment disappeared.
Oh, okay.
So these remains should be radiocarbonated to make sure that these are Pleistocene fauna elements. And the fossils from the gold mines will tell us this story, and then we can rewrite the story of the Pleistocene megafauna, including the moose.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So they had no idea that they were around that time.
Here you go. Moose, caribou, reindeer.
Rewriting history.
I would say this is also moose.
Moose number 3. Well, you know, Dick said that this is unique in the world. He says I think he said it's the best collection he's ever seen.
Look at those.
I forget what you said, Dick. You said something really great.
You see those tusks in the background? How many is
in our
that?
collection?
There's number 3, moose.
Moose.
Moose?
Yeah, a part of the maxilla with beautiful dentition.
Awesome.
Wow.
A part of the upper jaw, the maxilla, with beautiful dentition of a Pleistocene moose. And these teeth are so diagnostic that you can tell immediately that this is not any other species of deer. This is only moose. So you see, if you go through this collection of Mr. John Reeves, you will find more unique specimens which will tell us about the animals which were living in the past.
That's crazy, right, Matt?
Ivory is something special. To touch ivory of a mammoth like this is the closest you can get to a mammoth.
Of course.
Even this fragment of ivory tells us a lot about the animal to which it once belonged. If we have an entirely complete tusk of a woolly mammoth, we know that the entire life history of the animal is locked inside.
Wow.
By analyzing the tusk, we can read the life history of the mammoth. If we take a close look at this piece of ivory of this mammoth tusk, we can notice some very interesting features.
Oh,
it's
shit,
heavy.
Look at that.
It's a little bit weathered, making the ivory cracking.
Mm-hmm.
But if we take a close look inside here, we can see a kind of ear rings, like in a tree.
Does that tell the age?
This is also a wonderful piece of ivory.
I wonder.
Of a woolly mammoth tusk. It's the blue color of the tusk. These are crystals coming from the permafrost. It's called vivianite. It's a gray-white crystal, and it turns as soon as it is exposed to the oxygen, so coming out of the permafrost, and then it turns inside this blue color.
Wow, look at that.
Something which we can see on permafrost fossils originating from the black muck. Once I did an excavation together with a team of a carcass of a woolly mammoth. And it was not a skeleton, it was a really carcass. So the fur, the skin, everything was preserved. And also the intestine. And in the intestine, there was still dung left over.
It does, right, Matt? Like a blueberry wood, you're right,
by
man.
paleoecologists. And they figured out exactly what was the last meal of this woolly mammoth.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The meal of the mammoth is telling what the menu was on the mammoth steppe. But here we have so many bison remains.
How the fuck do they find out what was its last meal? I have to find that out. I have to look that up. Because that's fucking interesting. I really want to know how they could tell that from looking at the tusk. I guess under a microscope or doing some certain testing. I have no fucking idea. I'm totally clueless about this stuff. I'm learning as you guys are learning because I really don't know. But that's, and the color, you're right, Matt. The color of that fucking thing is crazy, man. Just when it hits the oxygen. Yeah, maybe when it's released. Yeah, that's a good point.
Say that this was more an environment for the steppe bison.
Well, you opened the contents and the intestines.
So
oh, okay. I heard
the mammoth steppe, which was covering the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? There's no way. Like, what
about
the fuck?
The steppe bison belt.
You missed that.
No, look at this.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
Still got flesh and in between the vertebrae.
Yeah, that's very nice. We never find that in Holland.
I'll put this on a special table.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy likes to play like puzzles. Look, you see him?
It's the way it should be.
He's going to put it all together, this guy. He must have did a lot of puzzles as a kid.
Wow. Hold it. I'm going to take your picture again. Thanks.
That's crazy.
I'll put it like this so you can find it.
Cool.
The bones which come out of the permafrost are bones which have been frozen since thousands of years, and they look like the animal was living yesterday. So the quality is superb, I would say.
Well, that's because of the permafrost. It stays frozen, you know.
We know there's a lot of collagen in the bone, which is necessary to do radiocarbon dating. Yep. But it's also necessary to do stable isotope investigations and DNA research.
Mm-hmm.
Right here in my hand, I'm holding a chunk of a long bone from a mammoth.
It's got marrow in it.
And it's a very interesting chunk of bone. It was really neat as I was playing around with this. I noticed that there's actually some soft tissue. So this is a little bit of probably tendon.
That's crazy.
Some very tough soft tissue that is kind of captured by this little.
So that tissue is like
bone growth. And I pulled it out and it
thousands
felt
of years
just
old.
like beef jerky, or in this case, it's mammoth jerky. It's very soft and pliable, and it's really exciting when we find things like soft tissue, because as paleontologists, most of our work deals with bones and teeth. When we find soft tissue, we get pretty excited. This isn't something that we find every day. And you can do really cool things with soft tissue too. I mean, this is actually something we could cut up and put under a microscope and look at the cellular detail Some types of soft tissue like fur are actually very good for extracting things like
Oh, I
DNA
bet.
out of. And those types of studies have become increasingly important in studying animals from the Ice Age.
In our bones, we have flesh of woolly mammoth stuck between vertebrae. We have all kinds of material that might be viable DNA material, but I'm not, you probably don't know this, but I don't have a degree in DNA material. I missed that part of the classroom. But you remember I said I was a shitty student.
To clone a mammoth
character
and bring it back on Earth, that makes no sense. I'm in favor for doing DNA investigations on these bones, but not with the goal to clone the mammoth and bring the animal back to life.
Imagine that.
As an example, mammoths originated on the African continent some 5 million years ago, spread out over the African continent, came into the old world as an ancestral mammoth, spread out over Europe, Asia, and also showed up via Beringia in the New World.
Yeah.
And if we want to understand the extinction of these animals, we need to study these animals individually. So
That's
all
crazy.
these bones tell a wonderful story about the fauna composition, which will tell us about the environment. Was it grassland? Was it a savanna-like environment? Was it a forested area? Or was it, we don't know yet. The animal became extinct because there was a reason for it.
Wow, look at
We
that.
should not clone the mammoth and bring it back on Earth.
I think the next time that I get some soft tissue from a woolly mammoth, I'm going to take it home and put it in some chili. And we're going to have a woolly mammoth chili. And I'm the only one that's going to enter.
This guy's fucking nuts, man.
This is a tibia, a shy bone of a wild horse. Not very large, but we can see from the shaft that the epiphysis, the joints.
Hold on a second. I'm going to read BTF's comment here. How is he preserving the finds of Caucasus once they removed from the permafrost, which worked to stop and slow decay, now exposed to the air and elements, decay process speeds up? That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I think most of his finds here are bones. I don't think he finds most of anything with any biological material on it, like such as fully intact, decaying mammals such as the woolly mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger or a steppe bison. Yeah. I think they just got a lot of cartilage and shit in the bones of that full intact woolly mammoth that it's enough to put in some fucking chili, I guess, maybe there's like one big chunk. Remember the last steppe bison that I spoke about, Blue Babe, it was so intact that the people who discovered it took a chunk out of its neck and fucking ate it. I think 3 or 4 people fucking had a meal out of it. I don't know what they made, but they fucking ate it. I'll tell you that.
Are fused. So it means that the animal was a full-grown individual. This bone looks so beautiful because we can see quite a lot of dendrites on it, formed by water. Often it is thought that what we see here, these little structures, that it is plant remains, but it's not true. It's just water between the frozen black muck and the bone.
Oh. They look like trees. They look like he got tattoos on his bones and shit.
One of the really interesting things about this deposit is the amazing amount of ecological information that's clearly available to us. And so, for example, there's a lot of bison bones. And so here is the metacarpal bone, one of the hand bones. We have 5 metacarpal bones leading to 5 sets of fingers. Bison just have the one metacarpal bone leading to 2 fingers, right?
Yeah.
These guys. So here's a metacarpal of an adult bison that was found in the deposit. Here's the same element, the same skeletal element, the metacarpal, the same side even, of a yearling bison. Okay, and here now is what looks to be the tibia, so the shin bone of a baby bison. So we have just from a real brief looking at some of these bones, basically the whole life cycle of one species
yeah.
living
It's
in this one place. So that's
Frodo's
a really
cousin
sort of
right there,
profound look at the capacity of this location to really foster this species throughout its entire time. It's the whole life cycle, which is really unique.
Oh yeah, he's
this is a
definitely
nice
from Shire.
little
Look at
bone.
him. Frodo
Entirely
Baggins.
complete, wonderful preserved. It's a neck vertebra. It's a neck
He's
vertebra
from the
of
Shire.
Ice Age caribou. A small individual, not too big.
Yeah, Mr. Spock, you're right.
And the preservation is
He's a
excellent.
Vulcan, sure.
It's like the animal was living yesterday.
He's gonna fucking grab John Reeves, touch his shoulder, and knock him out, take all the bones.
Quite a large bull caribou.
He's gonna read his
You
mind.
can see this is the part where it attaches to the frontal bones of the skull. So sort of right here, right? So, and the way caribou work is the males will grow these really big displays, these huge antlers, and they'll use them to basically harvest out a territory from other males so they can have access to those females.
Oh yeah. You don't fuck around.
And then after they mate, they drop them, they fall off, and that happens every single year. They grow
Oh
a new
man,
set,
poor
and
guy.
they shed them after they mate. And as it turns out, if you look at this deposit has a huge number of shed male caribou antlers.
Really?
And what that tells you, what that indicates, is that this terrain, which not only was host to bison and all of their life cycles, this was a great area for caribou mating.
Yeah, no shit.
So that's a really sort of unique and important indicator of how this landscape was used thousands of years ago.
So this is part of the day's catch. One of the bones that was excavated only 2 days ago from the boneyard. This is a mammoth.
What is that?
This is the upper end, the shoulder end of the humerus, the upper leg bone.
Humerus. Oh shit! Look at that.
The nice smooth surface there in front of me. That is actually the part of the humerus that articulated with the scapula, with the shoulder
Wow!
blade.
Look at that. That's crazy.
The other side here being a big area for muscle attachments, and this is a heavy bone, and I'm only holding the very end of the bone, and it's heavy.
It looks fucking heavy.
That being said, it's not rock. This is still good bone.
No shit.
The other thing that I really get struck with is it smells. It
Oh yeah,
smells
all
like
that
an
biological
animal that,
matter. Sure.
Well, died not that horribly long ago. I can smell basically still some of the organic matter that's still rotting. It's a very distinctive, pungent odor in my nose. So these bones, you know, you feel them and you smell them, and you get the full sense experience when you work in bones in this deposit. You can also see on the inside there in the shaft of the bone, it's all the spongy bone on the interior.
No shit.
Oh boy, yeah, it's getting heavy. Ugh.
Damn, fucking thing look heavy.
If you give it a proper perspective, our lifespans are, if we're lucky, 100 years.
Pool stick.
But these critters were wandering around 25,000 years ago. That's like a whole bunch of lifetimes. So, and the last one went extinct before civilization even had a brain.
Yeah, you're not only experiencing the mammoth in like one sense, we're using all of our senses, you know, this heavy bone that stinks. You really feel, you know, like you're kind of an unusual sort of connection, if you will, with the animal, and just knowing that you're still smelling some of its original organic parts that are rotting away still today, thousands of years later after this animal died. It's quite remarkable.
It's dripping water, isn't it?
Yeah, and other gooey.
ETF, who does this guy remind you of?
Anybody that stood on the hand on a giant It's a force of nature to have that amount of water coming in at that kind of pressure. If you see a fire truck shooting water up 15 stories, oh, that's the kind of pressure that giant's putting out. You have a method to how you wash the muck to make sure it gets thawed and goes downstream. Therapeutic, yeah. I mean, I'd rather do that than play golf. I'll tell you that right now. I'd rather do that than chase women. I'd rather do that than...
That's just like a 2-inch fucking pipe right there.
I'd rather do that than work 9 to 5.
A 4-inch to a 2-inch.
I don't think anybody has a better job than I got. I play in the mud every fucking day. I play in the mud every day.
This guy's nuts.
Pick whatever one you like.
Well, yeah, there is some stuff that's being washed away. That's for sure. But they're just after the bones that do not wash down, you know.
We often get sort of distracted by the charismatic megafauna, the mammoths and the bison and the carnivores.
Look at that bastard. Cave lion.
Coexisting with these animals and very much an important part of the ecosystem were the small mammals and birds. And in fact, insects and right on down to
true, Jesse.
Other types of invertebrates. They are almost certainly a part of this deposit as well. And it's really nice to take the sediment that the bones are in and occasionally just carefully screen through that. So wash them in water, screen out the bones. And we find things, for example, like Arctic ground squirrels.
Oh shit, really? Little squirrels?
Permafrost of Northern America is well known for ground squirrels, which were living at the same time as the mammoths. And ground squirrel burrows can be easily recognized in the frozen ground. And when you follow them, you can even find storage rooms which these animals have created during the Pleistocene.
No shit.
Putting seeds and grasses inside for better times. When we find these ground squirrel nests, we can analyze all these remains from the storage room, telling what the vegetation was looking like. And sometimes we found these ground squirrel nests completely filled up with even the animals inside because they died during hibernation in wintertime.
Oh shit. Look at that.
Unfortunately, here in the gold mine of Mr. Reeves, we have not seen any of them, but I hope I explained him to look for it, and hopefully in the next future he will.
That's probably what he's washing away, BTF.
Well.
I think we have 15 minutes left. Not bad.
Around the gold rush time, around 1902, you could apply for a patent with the federal government and they would sell you that land for $2.50 an acre. You could actually buy the land and get the bundle of rights that goes with it. And patented mining claims have the most expansive bundle of property rights that you can get. I own everything from the surface to the center of the earth. And fortunately, we don't have to go that deep to get these bones.
Wow.
You can't do that anymore because obviously $2.50 an acre is not something that people want to see land sold for, especially if it's been in the public domain.
In the United States, fossils belong to whoever owns the land. In Canada, it's crown property. In Alaska, if you own the land, you own the fossils. And in this particular case, John Reeves owns the land, and he therefore owns the fossils.
Wow.
And so it's really up to him to decide what happens or doesn't happen to them. Yeah.
Rocky the Black.
This collection is an extensive collection. 100,000, 150,000 specimens. Mr. Reeves doesn't know exactly.
I was thinking of the squirrel on SpongeBob. What's her name? Is that Daisy?
So this is a collection which needs to be studied by specialists. And
I don't remember her name. I think it was Daisy.
Also students involved to train them to become a specialist.
One thing that we would really want to do is first catalog everything, right? We want to know what everything is. We want to look at every single bone, every single fragment, every single flake, and to see what that is.
On many of these bones, with a couple of us who have trained eyes, we could identify probably 90-95% of the bones
It's
just at a
Gandalf.
glance.
Gandalf the Grey.
Put a quick number and a quick name on this.
John is a very good collector, a very good amateur paleontologist, and he takes his responsibility because he takes all these bones, he stores them, and this is what needs to be appreciated by the scientist, but also by the layman. And it's so important, in my opinion, that I offered him to
Rocky was the squirrel. Yeah,
entire inventory of his collection. I would like to come back to clean all the bones, to preserve them, to identify them, and to catalog them. And then in a computer system, you can make a wonderful catalog of it. At the same time, when I'm identifying, making comparative studies, I can explain to him, and he will learn from it, and I will learn too.
He's all excited, this guy. Look at him.
It wouldn't be good enough for me to just put one mammoth skeleton together. I have an idea. I have a whole herd of them out there. I would say that probably Professor Druckenmiller's right, that we have at least one whole skeleton, but we have probably more than that. We just haven't been able to find the time to catalog it, and we don't have the space to figure that out yet, but we will someday. That's part of the ultimate goal.
Damn. This guy John's getting old. You better get to it fast.
You know, you can see some of the decomposed bedrock. That
Sandy was the squirrel in SpongeBob. That's right. I thought it was Daisy. Well, Sandy's getting washed away.
That I was reading about.
Oh, they're very important to understand the age.
Yep.
Bikini Bottom. She's going right back down to Bikini Bottom, right?
From basically anything that's like, say, more than 50 years old, been back to about 50,000 years ago. It doesn't work for periods of time beyond that. In this particular deposit, we actually have dated just a handful of bones, and we seem to have a pretty good range of time from maybe 20-some thousand into just maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. That suggests that this deposit brackets the actual end Pleistocene extinction, when many of these animals disappeared from the landscape. So the deposit potentially provides information about how animals changed over this extinction event. It's always a really neat thing when we see extinction events. We want to know what happened there.
And there's very few sites, even in the world, that appear to have this kind of density of bone material. But if one were to really explore this in a systematic, scientifically standard way, it really could be a tremendous value to science. This is an opportunity to understand
John Lithgow, young John Lithgow,
and even just to understanding our shared history. There is a tremendous amount of information.
It's pretty close, yeah.
It's the whole ecosystem, and it's right there. We just have to go after it.
That's fucking Mr. Bean right there, I think, right? That guy looks like Mr. Bean. Look at him.
One of the things that we could really develop with this site is how old this site is. And the range of dates that this site is.
Yeah, pool stick.
So when we have a really well-dated deposit of sediments, we can see those variations in temperatures, and with it come variations in the types of animals that were living in those environments. When we find a deposit like this, we have the potential to study tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, I see John Lithgow in there.
The climate could have varied quite a bit. And so it's really helpful to understand the animals in that context of the temperatures that they lived in.
Wow, that's sick. Look at that.
This deposit is right now is a huge wall of permafrost. So the first thing we would have to do is step back and take a look at that wall. Instead of thinking about the wall, right, as a single sheet that one could sample across at the same time, is to really understand the stratigraphy of this accumulation, to understand the layering. And if we can start to really follow layers and understand the community within that single layer, is it a very flat, stacking, very simple surface? And we can already tell that it's not. And so we would have to understand how these different packages of rock were deposited, where they are, and then essentially go after those individual chunks of time. Understanding how much time is incorporated in each deposit, you can unlock the sort of scientific value that wall.
He wanted Frodo for himself.
So it's a very time-intensive process, and it's a very selective process.
It takes time, doesn't it?
It takes a lot of time. And that's how we would do that.
Let's see if we can find Pippin and Merry.
Dig where an archaeologist can go out and spend weeks or months chipping something out of the rock or out of the dirt. This is a moving body of ice and mud and organic material that melts from just natural processes. So if you're not there to pick it up when it thaws out, it's gone. It gets buried in mud again.
Oh, shit.
The molecular world today is expanding tremendously in what it can do. And so not only are there techniques in hand today that allow us to study these bones and answer a lot of really questions about what these animals were like when they were alive.
See that pool stick?
But who knows what developing fields, but particularly in molecular biology, will allow us to say about bones that today we don't even know we could ask that question. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why we want to archive bones like this for the long haul, because I'm sure 50 years from now,
oh yeah, I see John Lithgow right there.
We'll have a lot more powerful tools at our disposal to answer a lot more interesting questions.
You know, there are many fossil hunters in the world, but to have a person who is so passionate as Mr. Reeves, for me, makes this collection special. I understand that he kept every little piece he can find in his gold mine.
Most guys really don't have time for this stuff, you know, to collect bones and bones fragments. They're mining. I'm not mining. I'm boning.
There's
a big difference. The guys that work for miners are called miners. The guys that work with me are called boners.
I wouldn't want to be called a boner. I don't know
about that. I'm one of the
that.
biggest boners in the state, I think. At least I've been told so.
Mammoth tusk. Look, he's like, oh.
Wonderful. It's a good one. And even with the big machine and not completely destroyed, but still containing a lot of information about the animal. Wow. This is good. You see, John has a very good eye. This is very nice. You know, I can tell from the shape that this was a left tusk, a slender one, probably female individual. Wonderful. Awesome finding. I'm sure we will find more when we continue here.
The other day, when I look at him looking for bones and finding the skull of the bison, he's very proud because, you know, in everybody there is a little Indiana Jones. Everybody wants to make some discoveries, and discovering if it is a foot bone of a bison or a molar of a mammoth, which tells a wonderful story, makes you proud. Because paleontology
you did pull
is not
stick.
only
Good for you.
thing, it's also fun and it's pleasure.
What do you find? More gold or more mammoths?
brother.
You can never find enough mammoth.
That's right. I agree.
All that glitters is not gold.
No, that's right.
I guess what makes it really unique is the fact that somebody is willing to spend the time and effort that we've spent, not just me, but my kids, my family, people that just want to come out and do it. There's a lot of time invested in it. The other part is unique. I don't sell any of it, so I'm not using it to make money. I just want to collect it. It's kind of a legacy thing. Who knows, 100 years from now, maybe somebody will put together a whole herd of woolly mammoths.
I feel very privileged working with people all around the world. I work together with fishermen on the North Sea. I work together with shepherds in northern Greece. I work together with the gold diggers in Alaska and Yukon. And this gives me the opportunity to study collections in museums, in universities, but also these private collections like the one of Mr. John Reeves. An important collection. It is always underestimated what the fishermen or the shepherds or the gold diggers are doing, but the scientific work, the collecting bones and teeth of prehistoric animals and making them available for the scientists to study them gives us the insight, a window to the past to learn about the life which disappeared and from which we can learn so much to understand our past and looking into our future. I think we are living at a very interesting time, isn't it? Okay? Okay.
I love bones. All right. Well, I can't. Oh my God. You guys are funny. You're making me laugh, BTF. You really are. You made me laugh today. Oh, hold on. Let me stop playing this stupid thing. So that's it. It's over. If anybody wants to purchase this documentary, it's called Boneyard, Alaska. It's on YouTube Movies. I got it for a few bucks. It's pretty interesting, but you know, you could see some of this guy's John Reeves. His interviews with Joe Rogan is very interesting. So if you want to check out a little more from this guy and who he is, I would check out Joe Rogan's podcast. He goes a little more in depth about some other stuff, you know, with this his property, and there's a lot of questions asked. Of course, Joe puts a lot of spin into things, and he asks very, very good questions. You know, it's very interesting. So check it out. Yeah, I know. Sorry, that was the mission. Yep. Well, that's it for you guys. That's the end of this show, and into this part of our new content, Into the Unknown. CM and I are going to probably do the next show together, maybe on his channel, or probably mine. We'll probably do it on mine, actually. And I think the next show may be about Ghost. We may get into a little bit about the the paranormal. I think that's very interesting. There's a lot of interesting videos out there that we could start playing, and we could have some discussions on them. You know, I think CM was going that route last time, and it didn't really work out so great. But I think I don't know. I don't think we have to have a huge, turnout. I just think it's better to put these types of shows out there to break up break the ice. Because dude, every day pizza, every day fucking this, stand-up guy and Carlos and this. I know you guys are fucking getting bored with this shit, and I know I am too. Trust me, I am. But Tony Pizza does need a beating regularly, so we can't let that one go. But I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you, Jesse. I hope you guys enjoyed it. More to come. Like I said, one of my next shows is going to be about Paul Rosalie and the Amazon, and also we're going to do another show on the paranormal and ghosts, and we're going to play some videos, and we're gonna have some fun with that one. That's for sure. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jesse. BTF, Pool Stick, Steve the Gypsy, Jane Creek, Kamara. You're a sweetheart. BTF, so are you. Jesse, so are you. Jane Creek, you as well. Matt, I ain't going to call you a sweetheart, but you are a good dude. And I just want to thank you for all the support, for coming out, watching this with me, and kind of, mixing shit up. And hopefully we can grow the show. Maybe more people start coming if we start advertising it more. And, maybe get this out there in the community and other communities. You never know. All right, people. Matt is Faciendo. All right, people. You have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the support. And I love you guys. Take care.